What's poppin', everybody? Wolf94, bringing you guys Pokemon sets from past formats, and today we're going all the way from Mysterious Treasures to Hard Gold, Soul Silver, Unleashed. Unleashed. Okay, so this set is actually one of the smaller sets compared to the other ones. Almost all of the other ones go over 100 cards. This is actually 95 cards, so hopefully this way we finish under time. I want to finish this under 30 minutes. 30 minutes kind of maximum. So this is kind of a cool set, but most of the cool cards are the high-end cards like the primes, the legends, that kind of shit. It does have some cool, stage 1 and basic Pokemon, but uh, the hard gold soul silver sets kind of dropped the ball a little bit. Not all of them, but they were kind of lacking a little bit. They weren't like the DP sets where almost everything was kind of evened out. Okay, so we're gonna start with the legend cards this time. This set has three sets of legend cards. The Entei Raikou, Raikou Suicune, and Suicune Entei. Basically all of the dogs kind of combined. They get combined with each other. And they're very cool. They're some of the prettiest looking cards, especially this one. Entei Raikou. This has got to be the most beautiful card from this set, probably. I actually opened up an Unleashed booster box not that long ago. I have a link below in the description, and actually pulled the bottom of this card. They look absolutely beautiful. You have to see them in person to know. But yeah, this is actually the best one out of the ones here, the one that actually saw some competitive success. The legend cards didn't really accomplish much competitive-wise, uh, besides Rayquaza, Deoxys Legend, and maybe this card. And Kyogre Groudon wasn't exactly bad, but I don't think it did actually do shit. But it's not a bad card. It's one of the better legend cards. So, Entei Raikou, 140 HP, is not going to be that great since it gives two prizes. But it also has Free Retreat, at least. Weak to water and fighting, uh, not that good. But it's also dual type with fire. It's lightning fire. So that's pretty good. You're gonna get some good offensive coverage this way. It's gonna be able to hit a lot of things for weakness, so that's good. So it's got two very solid attacks and fast attacks, only 2 energy. That's pretty good. Detonation Spin, you do 90 for 2, and you discard a fire energy attached to Entei Raikou. Simple attack, fast, aggressive. It's gonna be pretty good. If you hit things for weakness with this too, a lot of Pokemon are gonna die in one hit. With Fire and Lightning, you get some good offensive coverage. Like I've said, you're going to hit some very good things for weakness. So this would likely get one-hit knockouts and a lot of shit. So the attack that kind of was mostly used on this dude as a counter to Jump Bluff and shit, the aggressive ass attack, Thunderfall. You discard all energy attached to this card, and this attack is going to do 80 damage to each Pokemon that has any Poke Power. So spread wasn't really that amazing during that time where Garchomp C level Hex, healed all the SP Pokemon and that kind of stuff. And there were also cards like Nidoqueen from Rise and Rivals. But when you do this much damage as spread, it's pretty good because 80 damage is enough to knock out a lot of Pokemon in one hit. Crobats were gonna die, Glados were gonna die, fucking Uxie was gonna die. Many Pokemon were gonna die with 80 HP. You would knock on a lot of these basic Pokemon or weak stage 1 Pokemon that had any Pokepowers. So, you use this attack right, you were gonna get a bunch of knockouts. It also fucked with your guys too, so you had to be kind of careful. But, if you didn't have Pokemon on the bench with Pokepowers, or you blocked bench damage, you were good. So definitely a strong S attack. This was probably the biggest nightmare for Jumpluff from that era because it got rid of a lot of bench Pokemon. So Jumpluff's attack got weakened a lot. So that was a perfect counter to that Pokemon. But I mean, this Pokemon could definitely function on its own and do a lot of shit. It's a very aggressive Pokemon, as you guys can see. Definitely the best one, and definitely the best looking one for me too. No doubt, no doubt. So pretty good. Next we got Raikou Suicune. Another very beautiful card. All of the legends are very beautiful, especially the ones in Unleashed and Undaunted. I think they're the best ones. The ones in Triumphant and Heart Gold Soul Silver, the original set, they're pretty good too. But I think Unleashed and Undaunted, they have the best looking ones. But anyway, so this card has 160 HP, more standard. Usually Legends, since they gave 2 prizes, they would have 150 or 160 HP, that's that kind of stuff. And not that it helps that much when you give 2 prizes, but 160 HP was more standard. It does have a retreat cost though, and it has more expensive attacks. Both attacks need 3 energy. So Thunderbolt Spear does 150 damage for 3, and you're going to do 50 damage to it yourself. Don't apply weakness to this damage, otherwise, you would fuck yourself up doing 100 damage. You basically kill yourself. But even with 50 self-damage, it's not that, you know, small of a drawback. It means you're doing basically like 100 damage total if you factor in the damage you're doing to yourself for 3 energy. And, it's kind of decent. It's okay. But 150 damage, it's going to knock out almost anything in one hit, basically. It's a lot of damage. And you don't have to discard energies and shit like that. So if you manage to do this, I guess at least twice, you do this, you're probably going to die uh, when you do this on the second turn if you don't die. But uh, if you get 2 knockouts, maybe it's okay. Uh, I like the second attack better though. Aurora Gain, you do 50 damage for 3, but you also remove 5 damage counters from Raikou Legend. I wish this attack was like 70 or 80 for 3. Not that that's super amazing for a legend Pokemon, but because it has 160 HP and you also heal damage, it could have been used as a good tank this way. Like you attack and heal, and you function kind of like Torterra, another, tanky Pokemon from back then. Because the thing is, you don't necessarily have to do all this damage, 150 damage. Since it's lightning and water, it's going to have some pretty good coverage as well. So if you just do something like 70, 80, and you're going to hit things for weakness too, and you're going to get the job done a lot of the times. So, that extreme damage isn't really that necessary. I wish Aurora again was better, and that would have made it good. I mean, you can still heal 50, and, with an expert belt, you're still going to function as a solid tank. But I feel like it could have been much better. The annoying thing is that you can't use both attacks if you use a DC. So if you put a DC and a water energy so you can use Aurora Gain quick, you won't be able to do Thunderbolt Spear. You're going to have 2 lightning energy and 1 water if you want to use both attacks. So yeah, a lot of stuff that makes this card inferior to Raikou Entei, but it's still kind of cool, solid. And then the last dude, Suicune Entei, another pretty cool looking card. This card also has 160 HP, a double weakness, and 1 retreat. And, Torrent Blade basically is a snipe for 100. You have to choose a bench Pokemon though. You return 2 water energy attached to this card to your hand, and you choose a bench Pokemon. It's going to do 100 to that dude. Okay, so I guess a solid snipe for 3, and you return 2. Not bad, I guess. And Bursting Inferno, uh, it basically does 80 for 3, and the defending Pokemon is burned. You can also use DC with this. Not that bad, not that bad. But they didn't really do shit. The only card that had some competitive success was Entei Raikou because of the super spread killer attack, very aggressive attack. And yeah, we got the Alpha Lithograph too. This is a secret rare. This is the worst one that says shuffle your deck. Shout out to the J Wits, top 20 worst cards of all time. I'm always gonna think that shit when I see this Alpha Lithograph. But yeah, so let's look at the primes here, since they're the main good thing in this set. We're gonna start with Crobat, my favorite, of course. So this card was pretty good. It is pretty good, I should say, because it didn't really do that much competitively. Uh, it's a damn shame. This is a very cool card, but because of the presence of Luxray GL, it didn't manage to be at its maximum potential. It has 130 HP, no retreat, and a fighting resistance. Excellent stats all around. The HP is actually pretty good when you consider that the Crobats we're still getting today, they have like 130 HP. So for this Crobat to have 130 HP all those sets ago, it was very good. It was the highest HP Crobat that gave one prize if you exclude Crobat EX and that kind of stuff. The other ones in that era, I think we only had like two more maybe. They had like 100 HP, 110 HP, that kind of stuff. So 130 HP, fantastic. Uh, it functions on one energy, so not bad. Uh, Severe Poison is kind of interesting. Basically, you put the defending Pokemon is poisoned, and then you put 4 damage counters instead of 1. So it's like, if they retreat, evolve or what have you, you did 40 for 1. So that's not bad, okay? It's not great, but it's not terrible. If they don't, though, they're going to get 80 damage by the end of their turn, and then by your turn, 120 when you end. So it's kind of a high risk, high reward shit. So if they decide to stay, they're going to die. They're definitely going to die. If they retreat, evolve, or what have you, get rid of the poison, then you just did 1 for 40. Still not bad, but you're not putting the hurt on like other cards like Garchomp and Luxray. But it's cool. I mean, if they do stay in, they're going to die for sure. And Skill Dive, you choose an opponent's Pokemon and it's going to do 30 to that Pokemon. It's at 130 Snipe basically. Not bad once again, but I wish it was a little higher. Uh, 1 for 50, maybe that's asking too much, okay? But if it was like 1 for 40, it would have been much better. It would have made a big difference, I feel like. Well, not a big difference, but it would have been much better, more respectable. But definitely a cool Pokemon, one of my favorites. Uh, when it was the Hard Gold, Soul Silver, Black and White format, when the DP shit, Platinum shit rotated out, this was kind of like a Tier 2 Pokemon, Tier 2 deck, Crobat. So yeah, not that bad. Next we got Kingdra, another one I really like. This might be the best one. Is either this or Tyranitar. It's debatable. I probably would say this is the best card, but yeah. So 130 HP, uh, it's okay. Its stats are actually pretty much the same as the Legends Awakened Kingdra, besides the double weakness to lightning, that's worse. But it has a lot of good things going for it. It made a great partner with Legends Awakened Kingdra because of Spray Splash. So basically this is like a Crobat G-Drop you can do every turn. It stacks, so if you bring out a couple of these, you're going to get free damage every turn that you can put anywhere. Quite powerful. And Dragon Steam does 1 for 60, but if your opponent has a fire Pokemon, it's going to do 20. There weren't really a lot of popular good fire Pokemon back then. I can only think of Blaziken FB. There might have been other stuff like Charizard, I guess, but perhaps Blaziken is the only one that really maybe was seen playing shit. But, you know, 1 for 60 is pretty good. You doing free damage like that is pretty good. And, you know, even if they have fire, you're doing 1 for 20. This guy would likely have an expert belt maybe. So, you know, you would hit for weakness too. So it's not that bad. It's a good attack, trust me. In the beginning, this was kind of, people thought maybe you'd only play like 1 or 2 maybe, partnering up with Legends Awakened Kingdra. But then people realized that it's just much easier to have play a lot of this guy, since you're gonna stack the Power Splash, and you don't have to worry about getting cards with Claydol and ditching a lot to do high damage with Legends Awakened Kingdra. So eventually, people started playing like 3 and only 1 of the Legends Awakened Kingdra, that kind of stuff. And I mean, eventually when Claydol rotated out, you pretty much had to. You had no choice. This was going to be the main guy, and Legends Awakened Kingdra kind of like a backup dude. Very powerful Pokemon, for sure. Did a lot of shit. Then let's look at, well, you know what, let's go with order, since I'm going with order anyway. So next we got Lantern. I like this Pokemon a lot. This might be like the most useless one on its own, but uh, it's not the most useless card for me. And I'm going to tell you guys why. It's pretty obvious if you look at it. It has 110 HP, not bad, okay? And Powerful Spark, it's going to do 40 for 3, but it's going to do 10 more damage for each energy attached to all of your Pokemon. So the best way to use this card, the only way to use it basically, if you were going to manage to do anything with it, is to use it with Tyrranitar Prime. You would put a bunch of water energies, maybe on this dude, or perhaps actually better on Tyrranitar, since it also had a solid attack that worked once you damaged the other dudes a little bit. And you're going to do a lot of damage with Powerful Spark. Get one-hit knockouts. Uh, it wasn't that hard if you had a bunch of energies. The way you could do this is you would use Underwater Dive. Basically, this is type shift. Once during your turn, you could use this power, and Lantern was going to become water type. And you could put energies on Lantern, or you could put it on other Pokemon. If he was on your bench, then you were going to put the water energies, and then next turn he was going to be lightning again. So you kind of had some solid coverage around 2. He was going to be lightning and water. He wasn't going to be lightning the turn you activated his power if he was active. But, if you powered it from the bench, then next turn you will be able to attack and him being lightning. So you guys get the idea. I can't really think of any other Pokemon that had this type shift ability besides Lantern and Salamence Delta Species EX. I'm pretty sure there are other ones, but these are the ones that come to mind that I vividly remember. But it's actually not a bad Pokemon once you get going. I feel like people maybe should have tried Lantern and Feraligatr more back then. Uh, it could have been very good. The thing is that was kind of hard for these types of decks with Feraligatr and shit is that there weren't really ways. We didn't have like shit like Juniper yet, and cards that let you draw a lot of cards like that. So it was kind of hard to get the energies. If a card like Professor's Letter was released back then, you best believe this deck was going to be top shit broken. But pretty good. Like I said, it can't really work on its own. It's hard for it to work on its own. So technically, if we take each prime on its own, it's kind of useless. It's the weakest one. But combined with Feraligatr is pretty good. I definitely like it better than Ursaring. Okay. Next we got Steelix. Another very good card, one of the better ones in here. All of the primes are pretty good in here, to be honest, in a way. So Steelix Prime got 140 HP for a stage 1. You really couldn't ask for much better for a stage 1 Pokemon. Back then that wasn't Blissey. Well, it wasn't Wailord, not Blissey. Has a big ass retreat, that's not that good, but it's kind of standard for Steelix. Handy psychic resistance that can come up, and has some pretty cool tricks. Perfect metal means you can't be affected by special conditions, so you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. That's kind of good. You don't have to worry about random paralysis, poison, that kind of stuff. Very, very nice. And energy stream, you do 2 for 30, and then you search your discard pile for any energy and attach it to Steelix. So what you could do with this, since you could grab anything, you could grab special metal energy and make this guy kind of like a tank, similar to Dialga G level X, with 140 HP, an expert belt, and a bunch of special metal energies on. This was going to be hard to take down. You would need something like Blaziken FB. Damn, and even then, it's actually much harder to kill this guy, even with a fire Pokemon like that, than Dialga G. And you can also grab DCE with this. So what this meant is that maybe you had a good chance of powering up Gaia Crush. This isn't a good attack when you look at it, costing 5 fucking energy to do 100. and you discard any stadium always. 100 for 5 isn't that great, but because you could use Energy Stream and slowly power this attack up, you could grab DCs and shit. Uh, it wasn't unlikely. This was kind of a slow tank Pokemon, so eventually you would get Gaia Crush going. With an Expert Belt, you're going to do 120 damage. That's some solid damage to get one-hit knockouts on a lot of level X SP Pokemon like Garchomp. Luxray wasn't going to die because of the metal resistance, but you could do some pretty good stuff. Uh, you would likely soften the dudes up with Energy Stream anyway, and this guy would get 2-hit knockouts without too much trouble. So pretty good, self-sufficient, strong Pokemon. It wasn't top meta shit, but it did actually top at regionals. I think it topped at nationals too. It did have competitive success, topping here and there. Good Pokemon. Next we got Tyrranitar. Uh, I'm pretty sure people are gonna agree this was probably the best card in here, the best Prime for sure. Uh, yeah, maybe. I still feel like Kingdra was better, but maybe. I don't know. Maybe I think this guy's better too. Okay, so obviously the famous 160 HP on this Pokemon is crazy. Man, if you think about it, like right now we're getting like 160 HP and yeah, 150, 160 HP on the stage 2 Pokemon today. So for this guy to have 160 in 4th gen all these years ago, yeah, you weren't gonna knock this thing out easily for sure. Even if you hit for fighting, even like a fighting Pokemon like Donphan Prime couldn't get a one-hit knockout on this dude. He needed an Expert Belt, and if you had an Expert Belt too, you weren't gonna knock it out anyway. Okay, so it has 3 solid attacks for the situation. So Darkness Howl is gonna do 20 to everybody that's not dark. That includes your guys too. It's some solid spread damage because you can do it easily for 1 energy. It's not that bad. Yeah, once again, Garchomp and Garchomp, Nidoqueen, that kind of shit, made these strategies weak, but it's still a solid attack. They're not always going to be able to fuck with you. Hitting your guys can suck. Hitting your bench guys, support Pokemon, and maybe your unevolved Larvitars, Pubitars, that kind of stuff. But there's actually some synergy here. The Pupitar from this set, one of the Pupitars can do raid shit, so you can put a memory berry and kind of have a combo like that. Another strategy. It will really work perfectly since this Pokemon has so much HP too. It really is such a no-brainer combo. If you wanted a solid attack that just did straight damage, Power Claw was pretty good. Doing 3 for 60 doesn't seem that good, but it's double colorless compatible, and you can also put special dark energies. You would get a little boost like that too. And it actually has a really good effect. It's going to hit for weakness, but ignore any other nuisance effects, Poke Powers, Poke Bodies, anything. So it's a respectable little effect, even though the damage isn't the highest for 3 energy. You get a very good effect in return. So it wasn't that bad. And once you got going, if you want to do big ass damage, make it entail. It's going to do 120 for 4. Since this guy was going to have an Expert Belt on, more than likely, if you were clever, you would put an Expert Belt on this dude. You're going to do 140 damage. That's going to knock out most stage 2 Pokemon out in one hit. Obviously, all of the SP shit was going to die in one hit. Very good. The discarding effect, you had to discard 3 top cards for your deck. Does kind of hurt, but it was a good attack. You were going to get one-hit knockouts. It was a pretty good attack for back then. 120 for 4, not bad. So very good Pokemon. This guy also topped and did shit. Was not like top game, the top deck and shit, but it was a very good Pokemon when it was released. Very powerful. It was a big ass tank that you didn't have to fuck around. He was going to be big either way with 160 HP. You just put an Expert Belt with 180. And then the last dude, Ursaring. It's not even going to show the card scan, but This is definitely the weakest dude, if you ask me. Uh, Basically, if you have damage counters on this dude, he's going to do 60 more damage. So I guess Hammer Arm is going to do 3 for 90. And Megadon Lariat, 120 for 4. You can use any energy, you can use DC. You could put 2 DCs and do 120, maybe with this card, but uh, it's not that good. I don't really like it. Lantern is much better. Even though this guy can technically work on its own, it's pretty shit. Lantern is much better, I feel like. Yeah. Okay. So these are the primes. We'll cover the legends. Let's look at some trainers a little bit since I'm in this section. Cheerleaders Cheer. This wasn't that great. This was basically like Field Worker from the EX series. You draw 3 cards, your opponent can draw 1, 2. MC's Chatter. Another like you draw 3, but if you flip tails, you draw 2. Energy Returner. This was energy recovery to the deck. You shuffle 4 energies back. Okay. Engineer's Adjustments. This card wasn't that amazing back then either, but I actually like it in my Legacy Ray Eels because you discard an energy and you draw 4. It's straight draw. Straight draw is good. And it discards an energy. It has synergy with putting the energies in the discard pile, that kind of stuff. So I kind of like it. Maybe you shouldn't be playing it, but it worked out so far. Pretty good. I mean, decks like Gyarados back then weren't going to run it. They weren't running energies. Felicity's drawing, yeah. That card was more flexible, but I guess you draw more cards with less. The cost is, you draw more for a smaller cost with this, even though Felicity was more flexible. Then we got Good Rod. Basically, you flip a coin. If it's heads, you put a Pokemon to the top of your deck. If you flip tails, you get a training card. You put it on top of your deck. I guess kind of decent. Maybe if you wanted to get something next turn for sure. Interviewers' questions. Man, I guess this was one of the ways you could have tried to get a lot of energies for Feraligatr, but it's not very good. It's not very consistent. You look at the top 8 cards of your deck, and then you grab any energies you find there. You would need to get like 4 energies to really be exploiting this card, or at least like 3. You got anything less, it just wasn't that good. I mean, we weren't gonna have like Rosane's Research forever, but this was around when Unleashed was out too. So, you know, if you wanted 2 energies, you could grab them with Rosane. You would need to get like 3 to 4 for this card to be good. Not that, it wasn't that good, it's too risky. I guess maybe if you built your deck a certain way, you arrange the cards and do stuff, maybe it could have been good. It has the potential to draw you a lot of energies, but not a good method. The best card would probably be Judge, not because I really like it, just because this card was used in all those disruption fuck you decks like Saberlock that fuck with your hand and fuck with the top cards of your deck that wanted to disrupt a lot. Basically, before this, if you wanted to fuck with your opponent's hand, you would use Team Galactic's Grunt, but that was a flip a coin rock, paper, scissors card. This was, you know, solid disruption. Both players were going to draw 4 cards, shuffle their deck, draw 4 cards. Soft play in those decks. Okay, you know, we got some reprints like Rare Candy, Super Scoop Up. Okay, so when it comes to rare holo cards and that kind of stuff, Jirachi, I know this card was good. I'd never used this card, but I know this was kind of a cool tech. When you play this down, you could flip 3 coins. For each heads, you grab the psychic energy from the discard pile, put it to this Pokemon. So it was self-sufficient, at least, if you got a bunch of coin flips working. And Time Holo, basically this was a devolving attack, kind of like the one that Espeon X uses today. You put Stage 1 or Stage 2 evolved Pokemon up to the amount of energies attached to Jirachi back to your opponent's hand. So I'm pretty sure this was a good tech. In some situations, you could do some stuff with it. I mean, for me, the devolving strategies aren't really that great, only sometimes they work. And it's best if they're used as abilities, not attacks, if you ask me. But I know this card did see some play. 60 HP is low, of course, but at least it's self-sufficient, like I've said. You weren't risking that much attaching energies and shit. Next we got Manaphy. I like this card much better. So this card, it didn't really see the light of day because of Chatot from Majestic Dawn did similar shit, probably better. This was more consistent, safe draw. You shuffle your hand into your deck and you draw 5. Chatot sometimes maybe wasn't going to get you that many. It depended on your opponent's hand. You basically drew as many cards as your opponent had in hand. So that's the only advantage it has. But at the same time, Chatot also has the potential to draw you more than 5 cards, and it also didn't work. It didn't need energy to work. It could attack for free. This needs an energy. So I kinda, yeah, Chatot is better, but I like this card too. It's pretty cool, pretty cute. It also has Sphere Retreat. And hey, maybe you can use Wave Splash. You never know. 1 for 20. Maybe if you hit something for weakness. It's not bad, it's not bad. Still very good. Rare holo. Beautiful card. Yeah, that's basically it. I mean, I guess Chatot, more than likely your opponent was gonna try and have a big hand and, if they were using stuff like Clavel and shit. So this is why Chatot, you know, uh, more than likely it was gonna get you a lot of cards. So yeah. Next we got Metagross. Man, this Pokemon pisses me off even though I like it. Okay, so this Pokemon, Psychic Pokemon, 130 HP. Okay, pretty good. It was still good having this kind of HP back then. The 4 retreat cost doesn't matter because with Psychic Float, if you have any Psychic energies attached to this guy or any of your active Pokemon, the retreat was going to be 0, so it could retreat for free. Not bad. The weakness is what pisses me off. Being weak to Psychic, man. Metagross, not only is it like not weak to Psychic, not only resistant to Psychic, it's double resistant to Psychic. So when they do this kind of shit where, it's weak to Psychic, or they do some stuff like Heatran being weak to Fire, that always kind of pisses me off. I mean, I guess in X and Y, we could say this is, he's weak to Ghost this way, but this is Hard Gold, Soul Silver. He wasn't weak to Ghost back then. And, I mean, it really is just because it's a Psychic card. It's the TCG stuff, a Psychic card, usually they're weak to Psychic, that kind of stuff. But I wish they didn't do this kind of stuff. Anyway, so this Pokemon can do some cool stuff, but it's just not really enough. Pulse Blast does 2 for 60. I wish it was 1 for 60 like it says here on Cerebi, but it's 2 for 60. And Double Leg Hammer, you basically choose 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon, and you do 40 damage to each of them. So it's kind of like a snipe. You can't choose the active, that sucks. And it's basically 80 damage total for 3 Psychic Energies. That's not that good. The sad thing is that it's not even, if you put a DC on this dude so you can do Pulse Blast, then you can't use Double Leg Hammer. So you don't even have that kind of benefit going for you. It's just a few things here and there could have made this card be pretty good. If it did 1 for 60, that could have gone a long way. Damn shame. We actually got we got this Metagross right here, and then we got another one in Undaunted. And it wasn't that long ago, with the one from Supreme Victors. We got a lot of Metagrosses. And then there's the one from Legends Awakened, so 4 Metagrosses total. It's too bad. They decided to print a lot of them in DP. And yeah, they just weren't quite enough. I mean, this one has a good ability. The HP is pretty good too. Uh, Pulse Blast isn't the worst attack. If you had a good second attack, I mean, maybe if you did 2 for 60 wasn't that bad anyway. But yeah, a Pokemon with potential, but it just didn't do shit. It wasn't quite right. Next we got, oh, my favorite, Torterra for sure. Right. So this card, um, when you pull this card, like if you pull it from a booster pack, you actually have it in your hands, like in real life. It's a very beautiful looking rare holo, but when you look at it from this, like a scan, and that kind of from the screen, from the PC screen in this kind of way, it doesn't look as good as some of the other ones, like the Majestic Dawn one or even the Platinum one. The DP ones just look much better for me. But this was definitely the most playable one for sure, the strongest one because of Giga Drain. Basically, you will put an expert battle on this dude, and he was going to do 60 for 3, but he also healed 60. So with 140 HP, and you also had the level X Torterra, he was going to be a powerful tank, hard to take down. And if you managed it for weakness, you actually healed even more. It wasn't like fixed to a certain amount, it was according to the damage you did. So maybe if you even used plus powers and shit, you would even do more damage. Maybe if you used the fucking Stormfront Cherrim, you would do more damage and heal more damage. So pretty powerful. And you know, the level X Torterra wasn't actually half bad either. Had a powerful power too when you were down in prizes, a solid attack as well. You got that extra HP. It was pretty good. Uh, the strategy saw a little bit of hype when a Flygon, a Torterra level X Flygon level X deck won Germany's nationals. But you know, shit, we were gonna have a rotation we had a rotation pretty soon afterwards. So, you know, Torterra level X was gonna be lost. So yeah, it didn't really last, but I guess it was slightly good for a while. You could still use Torterra without level X, but it was pretty good with the level X, much better with level X. And I guess once you got going, maybe you could do Land Crush, but you wouldn't really use that, honestly, ever. Very good Pokemon though, very cool looking if you pull it. My favorite for sure from this set. It's possibly the best like non-prime stage Pokemon. So other than that, I mean, I can't really think of many cards. This isn't one of the sets where there's a lot of shit that I remember vividly. Has a lot of just generally good cards. The thing is with DP, the DP sets is at least when they were released during their time, most of the cards in those sets, like the Pokemon and shit, could kind of fight on a maybe even level, maybe besides the top decks. With these hard gold soul silver sets, a lot of the other cards, the stage 1 cards and the basic Pokemon and shit, just were just kind of like filler pretty much. They couldn't really do shit. Maybe it was because of the SP shit already being out, but yeah, wasn't that good. So what else is there? I think there's not much. Nothing really else. Oh yeah, okay, let's look at Shaman too, I guess. So this dude, once during your turn, when you put this on the bench, you could move as many energies, attach your Pokemon to other Pokemon. So the only thing that maybe you can do with this card that I remember, I think you can, there's like a combo that is unlikely, but maybe you can do it uh, to make a Zekrom from Black and White be able to attack, do 120 on the first turn, something like that. You need a bunch of cards to do it. I don't really remember it. I'm not really familiar with it. Maybe I'm just talking shit, but I remember you can do like some sort of crazy combo with this card. Yeah. So, yeah, that's basically it. Let's look at Polydor too. Leapfrog. You may choose a water Pokemon on your bench and switch it with your active Pokemon. The attack isn't that great though. So yeah, that's basically it. I can't really think of anything else. Like I've said, most of the stuff, the main stuff that's good are the primes in this set. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys subscribe. Hope you guys leave a like. Share this with your friends. I'm going to cover all of the sets like I've said. We don't have that many left. We only got a couple from Diamond and Pearl. Only Rise and Rivals from Platinum. And the rest are just hard gold, soul silver sets basically. But I am going to cover all of them like I've said. This is actually my third time recording for Unleashed. I know it's been a while since I put some Pokemon Sets from Past Formats video, but I've been having a lot of issues and shit. And I finally figured out a way to do it properly, finally, using a different screen recording program. I hope it pays off. And yeah, I did this video a million times talking about Unleashed. It was really good the first time, but I hope this one might be pretty. This one should be pretty good too. So yeah, hope you guys leave a like, share this with your friends, subscribe to learn more of this old school Pokemon shit in these Sets from Past Formats videos. And I'll see you guys next time. Say Bowl 94, what's up?